It didn't happen.
So welcome to episode 83. This is The Bar is Ankle High, your weekly ADHD podcast that explores life's low bars with wit and wisdom. I'm Katie.
I'm Garrett.
Oh, I didn't think. I'm sorry. I just got so close to the microphone. And Garrett's doing our ASMR episode for us.
It's been a while since I've done one of those mouth noises, so
It has been.
it was time.
Usually they get cut out, so that's nice that it's now in the episode.
That's a good point. They usually, now that I'm thinking about it, they do usually get cut out. Not that one.
So make sure you join our Patreon. We had a hell of a intro for them. Patreon subscribers get ad-free and extended cut episodes in audio and visual format. So if you'd rather watch us in video format, I definitely recommend it for this episode because there was a show and tell portion.
There was Katie doing show and tell and Garrett sitting in her chair like Jiminy Glick and not being able to sit still and constantly adjusting, which that's what happens a whole episode. All I do is perch myself on top of this chair.
Yes. So in addition to kind of getting sucked into travel TikTok with my effort to get our podcast TikTok kind of going, I've also been sucked into the British royal family TikTok, and mostly about the question, where is Kate? So where is the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, Princess Catherine, whatever the fuck you want to call her?
Should we put a little pause on this for just a second?
I don't know.
We've just I don't know, should we? She got so confrontational just now.
Eventually
well,
I'll intro this topic, you guys.
we decided that we should do like once a month we should talk about whatever hyperfixations we have going on. So Katie this week for her, or this month, or however it's going to happen. We don't know. We have ADHD. It could be 1,000 different ways it happens.
Time
We could
isn't
change
real.
it tomorrow. Time isn't real, and we're our own bosses. So I don't know, suck it, I guess. So Katie has decided for this hyperfixation episode, she wants to talk about this conspiracy theory about where is Kate for the royal family.
Yes. And so we have a ton of listeners in the UK. We have a ton of listeners in Australia and Canada.
Yeah.
Sorry if you can hear Coco. There's nothing I can do about it.
That's okay. My crows are screaming outside, so.
So to the extent, I'm sure people in the UK know about this shit. I don't know how involved in the royal family folks in Canada and Australia really are.
I mean, I'm assuming, I don't know. I mean, just like people here are probably kind of like, some people are like, yeah, other people want nothing. Like if I say something to my spouse about the royal family, he's like, fuck out of here. Like I just couldn't care less.
Just from like a governance perspective, I don't know if there's like more like, granted, I don't watch local news here, but I would imagine that there's more reporting just
Probably, yeah.
naturally. But in any
Tell
event,
us. We're curious.
So
clearly,
as you may or may not know, King Charles, who became king on September 10th, 2022, when Queen Elizabeth died, after, or maybe she died on the 8th or 9th, but either way, it was when within 24 hours of my mom saying, God, when is that lady gonna die? So
I can't believe Deb killed the queen.
She's a witch.
And what do we do with witches?
She turned me into a newt.
We throw them in the river.
She weighs the same as a duck.
We burn her. I'm sorry.
God, Monty Python is amazing. So, in any event, so King Charles became king in September of 2022 when his mother died. The coronation, though, was in 2023
Mhm.
in May, I think. And
I didn't watch it.
me neither. I saw like the clips here and there, whatever, and like the Grim Reaper running up behind him in Westminster Abbey. You haven't seen that clip? Oh, it's like
No.
some sort of like gremlin thing, but it's somebody in a dark cloak, and like the way the light is hitting him, it looks like the Grim Reaper is like running across. It's so
Was it
wild.
Deb? Or was it edit that. Was it your mom?
You don't have to edit it. It might have been. She's squirrely. And
Taking
so
out the royal family.
but he just became king, and his skank of a wife, Camilla, became queen.
Mhm.
And so things are going on as normal, but Prince William and Princess Kate became the Prince and Princess of Wales when his father took the throne, because that's the title held by the heir. And so
Mhm.
now Kate Middleton is officially the first Princess of Wales since Diana. And
Okay.
because
Mhm.
they did not give Camilla that title basically based on like public opinion of Camilla. Um and they weren't allowed to get married until I think 2008. So like 11 years after Diana passed, but they had been together officially for like 15 years at that point.
Yeah.
Um so in any event, the
I mean, like, I will not that I wanna give this man any fucking credit, but at least they've stayed together, and it's not like he's just a serial philanderer who's just I mean, he could be, but I mean, this relationship
I do
has
feel badly a little bit for Charles in the sense that like he was told that he couldn't marry her because she had been divorced already.
Mhm.
So she marries another guy, and they're clearly like they care about each other, they're in love with each other, but then she had children. And so
Mhm.
she was married, and they were like, "Well, definitely no then." And like
What about
yeah,
now?
right. So like it was just the
What
kind
about
of
when
thing.
things are worse?
So like I understand also like his parent, like the Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip being like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like,
Yeah.
like
Throw me a
you're
bone
not
here.
even
Like, can you
trying to
try?
hide this. Yeah, like what
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
whatever.
And just a
So
reminder to listeners, he did talk about wanting to be Camilla's tampon at one point.
yes, and when he
So,
married or when he proposed to Lady Diana, I think she was 19 and he was 32. So
yeah,
like,
she was
ugh,
really young, and they set that
gross.
up, like, well before.
Yes.
Yuck.
So there I mean there was, and which is also I think goes to the problems in Diana and Charles's marriage, is that there was a significant age difference. She was young and wanted to have fun,
Yeah, they
and
were
he
forced
was
together.
old and was like, yeah, like I know that we're just here because I this fucking dog, I swear to Christ.
You're preaching to the
Um
choir on that one. Well, and also they were, like, basically forced together.
yes, because uh Charles wanted to be the tampon for a married lady.
And he's one
Thank
of
you.
those people that, like, his entire life seems like an old man.
Yes.
He seems like
Even
he's been a bitter, cranky old man since he was, like, 10.
yeah. I mean, did you watch The Crown?
No. So I
It's
tried.
okay. So
It just felt
there's a
like it was, like, rich people problems at a certain point, you know what I mean?
oh, I mean, for sure. But there's
Yeah.
a point where they explain, and this
Not to say
come
that I'm, like, too high and mighty to watch rich people problem shows because I'm definitely not, but, I just, like, couldn't. It was, like, the colonialism, like, watching them, like, go on these trips to Africa, it was just, like, ugh. It was like
so
an ick
anyway,
thing, I just couldn't get through it.
when Charles is young, he gets sent to this boarding school that his father went to,
Okay.
and was like, "This is what made me into a man, blah blah blah." It's kind of like a military academy.
Mhm.
It seemed like when they showed it in The Crown, it was like, up at 5 a.m., blah blah blah. He was kind of like, and his father wanted him to go because there was no special treatment for the fact that he was a prince. So
Mhm.
like he goes kind of bullied by his classmates and like fully ostracized and like really, really
Mhm.
hated it, was, like, fucking miserable, and so for him like, the reason that
There's no special treatment except for all of the special treatment your whole life.
so the reason though that William and Harry went to the schools in London that they went to is because Charles was like, "I'm not sending my kids to that fucking place."
Oh.
So,
Hmm.
um, like, he did have like, I think that there was a point where he was like, "I've got a fucking deal."
Self-awareness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, I think whatever. So, in any event, that has nothing to do with my hyperfixation. The at the beginning of this year,
Coronation. Yeah, okay.
at the beginning of 2024, we get a notice that the king is going to go in for it was either the beginning of 2024 or the very, very end of 2023. But the king is going to go in for a routine prostate procedure for or procedure for an enlarged prostate. Okay, fine. Pretty common for a 70-year-old man, frankly.
Mhm.
Potentially it's prostate cancer, but prostate cancer is notoriously an extremely slow growing cancer that has an extremely high
Treatable.
survivability rate.
Mhm.
So, um, but they said like it, they didn't say anything about it being prostate cancer, but he goes in for this and like 2 days later, we get a, so it had to be in January, but 2 days later, on January 17th, we get an announcement from Kensington Palace, which is William and Catherine's residence. That's their press office, Kensington Palace, saying that the Princess of Wales has, the day prior, so January 16th, underwent, quote, planned abdominal surgery and would be on rest, would be in the hospital for 10 to 14 days,
Crazy.
and then would not return to public royal duties until after Easter.
Mhm. And
So,
that was it was, like, after Easter at the soonest, right? Like, they
yeah,
were
like
giving
based
themselves,
on
like, wiggle
current
room.
that yeah, something like based on the current medical guidance, we
Mhm.
expect like, and then they said like if there's any significant updates or change to this timeline, we will let you know. So that everyone was kind of like, okay, so they're like very clearly setting the expectation here that you're not going to hear about this. It was planned abdominal surgery. And so I immediately texted my mom, who was a labor and delivery nurse for 15 years and then worked in the OR for another 12 years after that. But I was
Mhm.
like, "Hey, what kind of surgery do you have where you're in the hospital for 14 days afterwards?" And she was like, "None. That's not
None.
what happens." But
Like,
she was
for a
like,
C-section, which is one of the few abdominal surgeries where they still do a big incision, most things are done laparoscopically. I was there for an extra day for a total of 4.
"Yeah,
Like, I cannot think of something where you would be in the hospital for that long, even royal family. Like,
right.
I mean, typically 24 hours after they have a kid, they're pushing them out there in front of the cameras.
We will get to that."
Oh, okay, good,
So that
cool,
because
can't wait.
that's part of my theory.
Ooh.
So, the so I was like texting my mom and I was like, "What is this?" And she's like, "Yeah, but like she's like a fancy pants, so they get special treatment." And I was like, "Yeah, but like
Even then.
14 days in a hospital is a long fucking time to be like cooped up."
Yeah.
And so because like it also seemed to me like even when we saw Meghan Markle after she had Archie, they were they didn't do the on the steps of the hospital thing that Kate and William did, but they still had like a press greeting, but they were
Mhm,
like at home.
mhm.
And that was a few days afterwards. And that was like a whole thing that she was that quote Megan was
She was
making
being
them wait.
so difficult
Right.
because she wouldn't do it immediately.
Exactly. Which like
What do you want me to do an interview while I'm crowning? Like, it's just so it's so invasive.
it's just so funny because like you sent me I think that one picture of you with next to the bassinet when you were in the hospital and I thought
Oh,
you were standing in a puddle of blood
yes,
because
you
of
did.
the way the light was hitting you, but it
Meanwhile,
was
I'm
that
like,
kind of
"I showered.
I look
Look at
so
me.
sexy in my moo
I have pajamas on. I have pants on, and I took a shower."
and they're pulled all the way up.
So, yeah, the thought of just, like, putting people in front of cameras at that point is for international headlines is horrific.
Right. So now the we're saying she's in there for 2 weeks. We get another update on January 29th from Kensington Palace that says she's been discharged home to someplace.
One of their
Not
residences.
Yeah, they live at Adelaide College, which is on the Kensington Palace grounds, but it was a different location that's more separated from the press. And she's been discharged home and with, no complications. Thank you so much for all the care. There'll be no further updates. Okay, fine. But in that 2-week time, we find out that King Charles has cancer. We don't find out what type of cancer it is, but we do find out that King Charles has cancer and that he immediately is going into treatment. So it's severe enough that they're like, yeah, we're not fucking
Mhm.
around here. And that's also when Harry took that immediate flight to the UK for that like 30 or 45-minute visit with his dad. So to me, as far as the king is concerned, that says to me that the whole family knew about the cancer diagnosis for quite a while, but they couldn't make it public and they weren't going to make it public until they absolutely had to, which is standard protocol for the royals.
Yeah.
Once they decided that they were going to make it public, that's when Harry hopped on the flight. So, because you have to have a reason for Harry to return to the UK. So they had to there's a lot of back and forth of Harry forced them to make this announcement. I don't think that's the case. I think he was waiting for the all clear to come and see his dad.
Right,
And
because it's gonna draw a lot of attention if he's
exactly. So
yeah, traveling
he
to the UK.
needed that permission and that
Mhm.
disclosure to the public to justify a quick visit to wherever it was. And he couldn't stay long because he had to get back for the whatever football awards thing he was doing
Mhm.
because of the timing of when they made this announcement. But they made this announcement while Kate was still in the hospital.
Okay.
So I think number one, the family knew that King Charles had cancer or likely had cancer before he went in for this prostate
Yeah.
procedure.
Yeah.
I
Agreed.
think potentially that this might have sent Kate over the edge. And maybe she needed like a wellness retreat, as they say in Hollywood, for being exhausted. And that's why she was inpatient for 2 weeks and then is home for another 2 months. There's also been a lot of
So you
talk
really
late.
think it's like an R&R thing? Like,
I don't.
do you think it's like a rehab thing?
I don't think it's rehab. I think that there is potentially a significant physical medical thing going on. There's been a lot of talk about maybe her having like Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, in which case
Mhm.
she would have had potentially a bowel resection and then had an ostomy placed. And so that would
And that
explain.
with, like, a royal, I can see a 2-week.
Right, because you
Yeah.
also at that point, you would potentially I guess, you go on bowel rest when that happens, so they, put in once you have the resection, the idea is that your colon will pick up and start working again normally, but you try to give it as much time as possible without having to work normally,
Mhm.
hence the ostomy bag,
Mhm.
um, to, just let it get used to I mean, surgery's traumatic and, just let
Mhm.
it heal from that before you're
And
asking
rest,
it to do
yeah.
any work.
Right.
So, that makes sense to me. That is
Same
fully
concept if you have, like, a stomach bug, like, taking it easy for a little bit after.
right. That
Yeah.
makes sense, and it does make sense as well for the 2 months off of work afterwards, because if she has this ostomy attached to her, she wears extremely fitted not, spandex clothing, but very fitted clothing, and that
And
would
she's
be probably
very thin.
she's extremely thin, and it
Yeah.
would probably require, a change to her style that would need a justification, just
Mhm.
to accommodate the bag and any medical tape or whatever is going on, whatever. So again, makes sense. That being said, we have gotten a ton of fucking updates about King Charles's cancer. We've been told, like, in contrast, we know that, we don't know the type of cancer, but we know he's getting treatment and that, he's doing well. He's made statements where he's like, I'm like brought to tears at how, supportive everybody has been and their well wishes and
Mhm.
da 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 da. Yeah, I mean, whatever. Um, old man crying, like boohoo. But his parents were cousins.
Bleh.
But
Bleh.
the yeah, and like happy March. Like I'm Irish, so like fuck the British. But well, fuck the crown. Not British people are fine. But but in any event, so we're getting all these updates. Now I saw something on TikTok where somebody was like, perhaps all of these updates we're getting from King Charles are actually throwing shade at Kate for the lack of updates. So, what we know about the royals and their relationship with the press, based on what Harry and Meghan have shown us, is that there is very much these like different offices and press offices for each family.
Mhm. Mhm.
What we know about the fact that we know nothing about what's going on with Kate and we knew everything that was going on with Meghan and Harry proves to me that Meghan and Harry were not being paranoid and they weren't being dramatic and they weren't being emotional and they weren't being out of pocket when they were like, absolutely not, we're done. Because
Mhm.
if I had to worry that my brother and his wife were going to throw my spouse under the bus so that we don't have to, they can bury the story about William and his mistress Rose going off for the weekend and having a little tryst in Norwich at
Okay,
his
so I don't know
little.
anything about these accusations of infidelity. Like, I've
Oh,
heard,
they've
like,
been
whispers
going
of it,
on
but
for quite a while. It was actually, there was like a kerfuffle at the coronation. And because his alleged mistress was invited by Queen Camilla to the coronation. Yes. Yes.
what? Who is his mistress?
This woman named Rose.
Just
It's
like some rando?
no, I mean, like, she's like a noble person, like, she's
Oh,
of
okay, okay,
breeding.
okay.
Um, but and apparently there's, like, some scuttlebutt that basically Kate is fine with it as long as, nobody finds out. Like,
Like, be
she
discreet.
yeah, like, she understands that, like, royals be royaling and, like, this is how it is, and she's got
They
3
truly live
kids.
in the upside down.
Mhm. And basically, like, she knew what she signed up for, and this is the deal. And, she's still going to be queen someday.
Which I can
But
also see, like, the staff selling her on
oh, for sure.
that
And it seems to be
concept, you
that
know?
kind of thing where it's um, like everybody has a quote understanding. And right. So like yes. So now then you add that into potentially a nervous breakdown situation with the finding out that not only did you become the Princess of Wales less than 2 years ago, you might be queen ASAP, which means that your son will be the Prince of Wales.
Oh, like,
And
if Charles kicks it.
correct. So
Okay.
now, like, instead of being able to like raise your children somewhat more normally than they would be if they were suddenly boosted up to your own rank,
Mhm.
now you have to like take on this whole new role and deal with all of this. Now your husband, the king, is fucking around in the rose garden, as people say.
That's good.
um, so there's all these different layers to it. Now, last week, so the last week of February, there was a Thanksgiving service, so like a celebration of life church service for King Constantine of Greece, who passed
Yeah.
away a while ago. King Constantine of Greece is William's godfather, or was
Mhm.
William's godfather.
This I did see.
So yes, William was supposed to do a reading at this service
Mhm.
and bailed 45 minutes before it was supposed to start for, quote, personal.
45 minutes?
His name was still in the programs. They had no time to, like, make an adjustment.
I
45
didn't know it was
minutes.
that soon.
Yes, 45
Ooh,
minutes
that's
before.
juicy.
Yes. So 45 minutes before this church service was supposed to start, where he was supposed to give a reading for his godfather, he bails for, quote, "personal reasons," and they tack on basically like, they just said, "For personal reasons, the end." And now everybody's like, "Is Kate okay? Like, what the fuck?" So then it that announcement was made on William's personal letterhead. So it rather than, the
Mhm.
initial announcement that we got about, Kate having the surgery and then being released from the hospital about 2 weeks later, um, was on Kensington Palace letterhead. So it was like the family letterhead
Right.
for the Waleses. Um, and this was just on William's letterhead. So then people were like, "Well, wait a minute. What do you mean personal reasons? Like, what's going on with Kate?" And so then the palace had to be like, "The princess is fine. You will get updates if there are updates, but otherwise, like, status quo."
And they screw themselves because they're so vague that they
Yes.
just lead to, like,
And
conspiracy theories because they're
well,
not.
then, though, the same Sunday that this, mass was going to be held, I don't know if they call it mass when it's the Anglican church, but whatever, this church service, was gonna be held, the, um, what's his name? Thomas Kingston, who's the husband of Lady Gabriella, or was the husband of Lady Gabriella Windsor. She's the 11th in line to the throne.
Oh my god.
Um,
11th.
he died. Thomas
Okay.
Kingston died on that Sunday. So then the Kensington Palace is also like, "Oh, the personal reasons were unrelated to Thomas Kingston's death." Now, Thomas Kingston died, and they were like, he died at his home estate in blah 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 Sandringham or whatever the fuck, and there's uh no like suspicious circumstances or whatever, like, he wasn't murdered or
Yeah.
something like that. Like they made a comment where initially they were like, it's uh there's no investigation into the cause of death or something like that.
Mhm.
And so people were like, which I don't know if this is like just a uniquely American reaction, but I heard that and I was like, "Oh, he took his own life."
Yeah, I mean,
So,
that was definitely like a, the lady doth protest too much. It's one of
well,
those,
so
like, "Well,
then
it definitely wasn't suspicious."
right. So then it was he died of a traumatic head injury and I was like, "Oh, he shot himself." And
Yeah.
that was the initial thing, that he died of a traumatic head injury. There's no no investigation. And I was
They're
like,
like, "There
"Oh,
was
okay."
blunt
So
force trauma, but don't worry, it wasn't a murder."
right. So I was like, "Oh, he shot himself," which again, I think is a uniquely American reaction because
Yeah.
we hear that in our news all the time.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's true.
it was the kind of thing where I was like, I don't know that they like, I don't know. It was just one of those things where I was like, I wonder if that was the immediate assumption from folks who aren't stuck in a gun violence hellscape that we are. But in any event,
That's a good
then
point, yeah. That
William
never occurred to me that that might be like a
like a cultural
cultural
thing.
thing, yeah.
Yeah. So then William, he skips this event and they're like, "Oh, it's not related to Thomas Kingston." Which again, I was like, "Why would I have thought it was related?" Like, yeah, it's your cousin's or whatever husband, but, like, why would you be the person to rush to her side?
It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing
Right,
to
like,
point out,
it'd
yeah.
be like, if that happened to one of my cousins, I would be there for them, of course, but I wouldn't be, like, dropping everything. I don't know, it just seems strange.
Yeah.
So then they're like, "Oh, Princess Kate's fine," and then we get all of the details about Thomas Kingston's death. He locked himself in a shed on the property, his parents were looking for him, they heard a gunshot go off, and then they called the police. Like, we get so many details about this person's death.
Just like, Charles with his prostate. Like,
Yes,
lots of details.
and it's I think this is probably one of the first times that it's this attempted misdirection is really not working for the palace,
Mhm.
because people were like, "Yeah, cool, but, like, a person took their own life. That's devastating and tragic. I don't really care about the details of them taking their own life. I care, like, why did they feel like, what was going on that they felt so hopeless?"
Mhm.
And they're in this extremely privileged position, um, and
Where they
still
they should have access to any help,
right,
right, they
and
need.
and William and Kate and Harry all do, like, a ton of charity work for mental health institutions. So
Mhm.
it's not like the palace is like, "Mental health is fake." So, like, it's again that, like, let's have a discussion about that, like, why aren't we ensuring accessible access to these services and treatments and having regular check-ins? Like, why isn't should your GP be trained in some psychotherapy so that they can assess that in your annual physical or something like that? So, in any event, we get all of these details about Mr. Kingston's death, and then the about a week later. So it's actually kind of good that we had these technical issues, because the day after we tried to record that episode, we get a grainy ass photo of Kate
I saw
Middleton in a
that going
car
on.
being driven by her mother
Yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
Have you seen this photo?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to pull it up on my phone really quick, and so Patreon will see it if they haven't already. Um let's see here.
'Cause she's got big sunglasses on, right? Like, it's just like
Yes. Um uh
I'm very Jiminy Glick today, like, I can't sit still, I don't know what my problem
it's the
is.
glasses.
Maybe that's what it is, my body's like, "There's something different, there's something different."
So for Patreon, this is the photo, and that's about as clear of a photo you're gonna get. Like, I get that you're looking at it on my phone.
That could be Pippa.
That's what I thought. As soon as I saw it, I was like, "That's not Kate, that's Pippa." Additionally, in zooming in, it is so fucking grainy. We have better pictures of Bigfoot from 1976 than we do in this photo of Kate Middleton.
I've
Now,
definitely seen more clear pictures of,
the moon landing had
Nessie.
better footage. Like,
Nessie, yeah.
yeah. And so it's the kind of thing where people are like, "You're telling me that the paparazzi with these, comically large telephoto lenses that get photos of celebrities on yachts from shore, that's the photo we're getting of Kate? Blow me. No fucking way." Like, that's the best picture you could get?
I want you to take over somebody's PR. Somebody's PR. Just to say things like that.
I'd be like, Roy Kent in
Yes,
in,
yes,
Ted Lasso.
yes. Everything would be fucked.
You're all cunts. And so, let me put this down.
Oh my god.
So then we get this photo, and they're like, "See, she's
She's
clearly
fine.
coming back from doing the morning school run with the kids and dropping them off at school because it's early in the morning, being driven by her mother." And somebody described Carol Middleton, Kate's mom, as the ultimate stage mom. And, like, yes. So it makes sense to me. And apparently there was like, this is Kate's go-to when she wants to be seen but doesn't want to answer questions. So right after the queen passed away and everyone except Kate was up in Balmoral in Scotland, to be with the queen's body, Kate was left home. She and there was, like, questions about why she was left home. She went for a drive. And again, comparing the photos of that drive, crystal clear, like exquisite 4K ultra high def photos. And then there's this one. So then somebody zooms in and they're like, "This looks like Pippa." Like, Kate
It
has a
does,
much more
yeah.
narrow face.
Yeah, Pippa's, like,
Um,
jaw is different, I feel like.
yeah, I think she has, like, just a little bit more of a square jaw.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, but then also somebody was like, "You Kate has a very distinctive, like, mole, right, on
mhm,
her next to her lips,
mhm.
and it's not there." in this photo. So,
I'm still
there's
not
that
over
as
the
well.
stage mom thing.
I believe it. I mean, I think,
I know
at a
nothing
certain
about.
point, you can't have your child going to school with and then dating the Prince of Wales or, the future king and not be saying, because they were calling her, like, Waity Katie because he was never proposing and this, that, and the other, and not saying, like, "Okay, you're gonna take a break and you're gonna go out on the town and be seen, and you're gonna wear clothes that you couldn't wear when you're dating a royal because now you're single." And, like, I believe it. I think there is an element and, like, the Middletons, like, now they're considered nobles, but they weren't. They had like, their family got promoted when Kate
Yeah, they
Middleton
were, like,
married,
very middle class, right? Like, prior to
but they
that?
were upper middle class because
Okay.
the Middletons own a, like, party planning company, but they do,
Hmm,
like, swanky parties, like the White Gala
okay.
at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Saratoga Race Course and all
yeah.
that
Okay.
sort of shit.
Yeah.
So, like, the they're brushing elbows with people in these circles
Yeah.
in general.
Okay.
So, whatever. So
That's
then
just
we
an
get this.
interesting it's like an interesting layer to how
Mhm.
this is being handled.
Yes, and I think that's also a huge hint as to it not being Kate in this photo. I think, um
Like, the mom knew that this was, like, a way to, like, throw them a bone that was, like, safe.
yes.
Yeah.
Even if, like, Kate very well may not be able to get out of bed right now or be able to comfortably sit in a car for however long it takes to do school drop off and, like, get the kids into the car and this, that, and the other.
Also, like, you guys are royals, you're dropping not to say that, like, you can't drop your kids off yourself, but you don't have, like, someone driving you? I don't know.
I mean, I know that they moved to where they are, like, the Adelaide College because it's more rural and the kids could have a, quote, "more normal schooling," I guess?
I
I
mean,
don't
like,
know.
if you wanted your kids to have a normal life, you shouldn't have married somebody in line for the royal throne.
I look, I agree. I think and I also think that, like, we know that Princess Diana was big on not letting nannies raise her children,
Mhm.
and that was a huge sticking point for her between her and Charles because Charles was like, "Well, that's kinda the way it is, like, we have to go to work." And
But do you? But do you, Charles? What is your job? Do you just show up places and, fucking wave and call it a day and then go
yep.
see Camilla? Yeah, that's pretty much your job, so I'm
But
sorry. This is
then
why I couldn't watch The Crown. 'Cause the whole time I'm like, "Oh, oh, really, Charles?"
Oh,
Something
truly. I mean, yeah. And so then we get this picture, and so people are like, "That's what you thought would shut us up?" Like,
yeah,
again, grainy as hell, like, this proves nothing. It doesn't look like her. Like, this is one of the most photographed people on the fucking planet,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's not like, "Oh, we don't have many pictures of her from this angle or in this lighting." No, we have every photo of this woman from the age of, like, 20 until now.
yeah,
So, like, the past 20 years, we've had photos of this woman. We know what she looks like.
yeah,
And there's people who, like, their whole life is studying the royals, and they know what she looks like, and even they're saying, like, "This is weird. This is
mm,
a go-to move for Kate, the car thing, but it doesn't really look like her." That being said, she there were comments, not that I think it's fair, but there were comments about Kate's body and her being too thin towards the end of last year, which would make sense if this is like an ulcerative colitis or Crohn's issue.
mm.
You would
She's
drop a ton of
always
weight.
been very thin, though.
Yes.
Yeah,
And there are certain times where, like, she'll wear especially I think if she wears one of those dresses that's like a trench coat style that's, like,
mhm.
very structured, it makes her look even thinner because of, like, the darting on those types of
Oh,
dresses.
yeah, yeah,
They just, like and she has just a microscopic waist. I mean, this woman is, like, God's favorite,
yeah.
obviously.
I mean, she's at the point where you're like, "Hmm,
Right.
how, like, natural
Well, and it's
thinness is this?" And it's I mean, and again, like, not that you wanna be, like, commenting and, like, observing somebody's body, but at the same time, you're like, it's, like, a concerning thinness almost.
Well, yes, and we know that, Lady Diana struggled with
Mhm.
eating disorders and, um, got extremely thin at certain points during her time as the Princess of Wales, and so, I mean, I think that there are valid concerns. I do think, though, when it when it comes to women's bodies, like,
Yeah.
people are gonna comment, and
Mhm.
so there is an aspect of this where it's like, "Well, it looks more like Pippa because like, Kate's face is more narrow." Like, maybe she's just eating more and able to, like,
Mhm. Yeah.
be a healthier weight now because whatever was going on with her intestinally is getting resolved.
Mhm.
So I think that that's a possibility too. However, this photo to me did not answer any questions.
Yeah, no.
It
Yeah,
really
it was
didn't.
eh,
And it
yeah,
also I think it would have been better if William was driving this fucking car.
yeah. Well, I
Like,
mean, and
why?
I think
Because
if that had been the case, people wouldn't be quite as like,
no, truly.
"What?" Yeah.
Because it and if it is Kate in this car, it is also giving, like, her mom saying, "You need to pull yourself to fucking gether and get in this fucking car and shut up the paparazzi." Like, it's giving very, like, stage mom. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
"I
like,
don't care
let's
that you don't want it, and,
right.
like, you're gonna do it, the
Yeah,
end."
yeah. Because I mean, I think about times where, like, if my mom and I were in the car, we're, like, chit-chatting, and there's,
Mhm.
like you're smiling or you're, laughing or and she's just, like, stone-faced,
They both are.
which is, yeah, also odd.
Yeah. So, again, you know, I think if they wanted this to work, William should have been driving, and Um, because there's also all of that speculation that this is on the cusp or the heels of them separating and moving towards divorce and all this other stuff. So now people are asking, um, where's William? Because William went to like a minuscule number of events since the start of the year. Um, and he canceled his appearance at the church service, went to something at a synagogue in London a few days later on the 29th of February, and then hasn't really been seen since. Also, poor Queen Camilla did 21 events between January 1st and March 1st, and so now she has to take a week vacation. So she's getting flown to some tropical locale because she needs a rest. And man, I'm not saying that the US is good at, apportioning our tax dollars, but I sure am glad that I'm not paying for our fucking queen or the first lady to go on a 1-week vacation because she was really tired.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
Also without her sick husband, mind you. Like she's
yeah.
just taking a week away, which is so bizarre,
You think
but
about,
like
like, the pictures of, like, a president, like, before and after a
mhm.
term and, like, how much it ages them, and she's got the vapors from doing 5 events in a month.
Well, and true again, like you said, like what actually are these events? Like
Right,
you're not going to a construction site and welding something.
right.
Like like you're
You're
showing
actually
up,
not doing anything.
you
You're
don't even open
showing
your own
up
car door. Like
right, you're not driving yourself there, you don't have to do any of the logistics to get yourself there, you're just literally showing up in clothes that somebody picked out for you, they did all your hair and makeup, you're doing your fucking princess wave, and you're leaving.
mhm, yeah,
That's it.
it's
I
really
mean and that's not to
tiring.
say I mean, I'm sure there is a level of tiring to it, and maybe if all you ever do is lay on a chaise lounge that, yes, that you are tired. I'm
Hey,
sorry,
she
I'm
wanted to be
really salty
queen.
about this. It's just, like it just makes me really mad that
Oh, I'm with you
people work
because it's
so
like
fucking hard for so little, and you've got
yes.
these assholes that are like,
Yeah,
"You need a vacation on a yacht."
and the thing is also like so King Charles, not my favorite person for sure, but the man is undergoing chemotherapy and still showing up to events. Like, he's going to events still. So then there's that again, the question, where's William? Why is William taking so much time off?
Yeah.
Like, somehow your wife has surgery, is home, surely getting 24-hour at-home nursing care.
Right.
Um,
With an
like, let's
on-staff physician.
right.
Yeah,
And then and again, it is the kind of thing where this is a woman who had, um, that HG, that hypergravidium morning sickness thing and had to be
I was
hospitalized for it, and we knew she was
terrified of that.
hospitalized.
Yes.
And so, like, we knew all these things and, hours after shoving a kid out of her taint, she's standing out there posing for you're
Do you mean
welcome.
ejecting?
Yes. Just like, pop, done. But,
It was
like, she's
out of her
posing for the
taint is really the is the best part of that thought.
but she's out there posing for the paparazzi,
Yes.
smiling, waving,
That
holding the
to
baby
me,
herself.
that is the
Like
most, like that's the most damning piece of evidence in this, is,
yeah.
like, she and, you have the contrast between her and Meghan Markle,
Mhm.
and I think Kate's always been, like the crowd favorite. I mean,
Yes.
she ticks all the boxes and
Yes.
plays all the parts, and, they want her out in front of 10,000 paparazzi on the steps of the hospital 5 minutes after she ejects a kid from her taint,
Well, and I
and
heard it as, well, she's earned this privacy. Why? Like it's the kind of not that she doesn't deserve that privacy, but, like, if like, Megan deserved that privacy, and it was like, so Megan hadn't earned it, she hadn't put in her time to
yes.
get privacy, so therefore she's not entitled to it, but now we have to respect Megan's or, Kate's demand for privacy on something where, like, you call it the thing is also that really frustrates me about this whole thing is that they were like, "This is a planned abdominal surgery," and then canceled all of the events that she was supposed to show up for. So it wasn't that fucking planned if you already had her scheduled to attend a whole bunch of events.
Right.
So, like,
And, I
stop
mean
calling it a planned surgery. It was probably planned in the sense that, like, it wasn't emergent, but you can add a case to an OR schedule the day before, and it can be considered a planned surgery. Like,
mhm,
the planning, at least as far as my understanding of hospital logistics goes, which, yeah, I don't work in a hospital, but my mother was an OR nurse for 12 years. My brother works in OR logistics and sterile processing. Like, I know how these things work, but the plan is so that you have the right fucking instruments that are sterilized for the surgery.
mhm,
So, as opposed to having an emergency cart that has kind of like a mash unit of
mhm,
instruments in it so that you can do a trauma surgery. So, yeah, it's not trauma, but they also, people get diagnosed with cancer and are under the knife within a week. That's a planned surgery.
mhm.
It's not traumatic. It's not the result of like a gunshot wound or a car accident or something. But like
Yeah,
it,
like, my
to
C-section wasn't emergency, but it was
correct.
unplanned.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So to call it a planned abdominal surgery,
Mm.
but then you still had to cancel all of these events, like, no, that's
Well, and
they can't exist at the same time, those 2 statements.
I mean, they are creating the mystique around this.
Yes.
So, you've got all of
And
these
then
other
they're pissed that
situations.
people are, like, coming up with these quote,
Right.
"conspiracy theories."
But it's
Well,
like
what
you're
choice do
you're
we
you're
have?
addressing all of these other things, and you're like, "There's
Yeah.
definitely nothing weird going on here. Nothing's funny." And it's like, yeah,
Right.
everybody's getting suspicious because you're being fucking weird about it.
Exactly. You're
That's why people are
making
being
it
weird.
weird,
Yeah.
and yeah, you're right. We don't like, if she's in a hospital bed and can't stand up, fine, but, like, it's like you said, it's the vagueness of it.
Yeah.
Like and that goes to the I think it's lending so much credence to what Meghan and Harry said in their documentary and in their interview with Oprah, but about how the each family has their own press house. They leak stories so that the focus is not on them. And, you know, sh Meghan saying, "I felt like I was going crazy because I'm just trying to, like, exist." And then, things come out that I made Kate cry at the bridesmaid dress fitting for Charlotte 2 days before the wedding. And so the, you know, people's favorite, the golden child, Kate Middleton,
Mhm.
was in tears because Meghan Markle made her cry before her wedding. And, like, on the one hand, it's like, okay, well, that's dramatic. What happened really to make you cry? Also, Kate had just given birth to Prince Louis like 3 weeks prior
Ugh.
and was in heels at a wedding doing all of these events. So again, another example of like having a insane turnaround time on
Mhm.
these major health initiatives, I guess. These points in her life, but then with this, it's like you don't get to know. When
Yeah, it's
well,
weird.
she deserves some privacy here. No, I don't know because if I were a taxpayer in England and one of the Commonwealth countries, I don't know how much of their taxes go to pay for the crown, but I would be wanting a fucking reason. Like
Well,
I'm
look at the Secretary of Defense in the United States. He went for a surgery, and they didn't fucking tell the White House. He was having a
really? I missed
surgery. Yeah,
that.
this had to be, like, a month or so ago, and there was all of this, like, hubbub. I feel like an elderly person saying that, but, there was a lot of talk like, "Hey, you need to be disclosing to your boss that
Yes.
you're having surgery because 'cause you're, like, the top military leader and you're unavailable. You're going under
That's like the,
anesthesia, like,
what is it? The 25th Amendment where when the president's gonna be unconscious, like, for surgery or something, they have to sign that paper that makes the vice president,
yeah,
like, the authority.
right. Because,
Um, yeah.
you need to have a plan, and it's just one of those, like, you there's a level of, being in the public eye, having these, like, responsibilities and needing to have some transparency with the public because it is a
Yes.
public funded, you know, organization. So, I
Mhm.
mean, you can't just like willy-nilly be running around having anesthesia and not disclosing or checking out for how many months. I mean, what was this? January?
Yes, so January 17th is when she went in or she had the surgery on January 16th. We were told about it on the 17th.
Wild.
Um, I also saw a theory that the surgery didn't go well and she was in a coma, which is why she was in the hospital for a couple weeks and now is back home and, like, doing the whole learn to walk thing. Which again, there's no proof of that.
That's a
There
truth. Yeah.
it's, like, truly a theory, but it's also that kinda thing where it's like, yeah,
This is what happens when
right, like, you
yeah.
made it weird. You made it weird.
Yeah.
And if she is going through something like Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, which to my knowledge, she has never confirmed or said anything to indicate that she actually does have one of those conditions.
I got to be honest, I
Um,
don't know that I've heard her speak,
it's yeah, it's very rare. She
right?
has done
Like,
podcast interviews though. I
oh,
don't think that she'll come on ours at this point, but oh well.
listen, Kate, safe space here.
Hey, I emailed Meghan Markle. I tried to get her on our
Katie
podcast.
did.
They
She
didn't
tried.
respond.
No. Um,
Weird.
you ever wanna come on, Kate? You totally can.
You can come on our podcast. We'll ask
We
you
accept.
questions.
Yeah.
We accept.
Um, we accept your hypothetical offer. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're welcome, Kate. We'll do you the favor. Sorry you spelled Catherine so weird.
How does she spell Cath?
Yeah, Catherine.
No, that's not it.
Yeah, no.
Um, yeah,
RYN, baby.
it's just it does like kind of smell funny,
Mhm,
and I think I think the fact that William has not been seen publicly
mhm.
is suspicious.
It's very
Um,
weird because it's not he's still doing some events, so it's not like, "Oh, I'm home taking care of my wife and my kids, period."
because we know he's not.
Well, right. But then so it's not that where it's like, okay, like, it makes sense that they'd kind of be, like, cloistering and, huddled up.
Or like
But
staying
again,
close to home and doing like
yeah, again, a
more
photo of
local
him doing the drop-off run in the morning
would have made
would
more
go
sense.
miles.
Yes.
Like, it would and him and Kate's body double doing the school drop off because I just don't believe that this is a photo of Kate. I think
Hey, you know what? There were those theories when, Trump was in the White House and Melania, there was definite theories, and there was times where, like, you would see videos and you're like, "That doesn't look like
I mean, there's
Melania."
theories about, at least before the conservatorship ended, that Britney Spears was, like, they had a body double for her.
Mhm.
And, I mean, I'll say that there's something going on with that chick's teeth. I don't know if she wears a flipper or her body double does.
Are you talking about
There's something
Britney?
up. Yeah.
So, I was reading, that some of the drugs that she would have been on can cause issues with your teeth, and I think she at one point had, like, veneers or something, or, like,
Mm,
caps on her teeth and, like, just hasn't had it, like, done in a
maintained.
while or whatever else.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but yeah,
mean,
it's
which is plausible. It's just one of those
it
things where
is,
it's like people point to like, "Oh, it's a body double. It's not really Britney," or "It is really Britney because of this one thing." But,
right.
it's those types of things that people point to, and I think if anyone's gonna have a body double, it's gonna be a member of the royal family.
Yes.
And then someone else I saw, they zoomed in on this picture and they were like, again, hours after giving birth, Kate had makeup on, hair done, perfectly coiffed hair, like fresh blowout, and her hair in this photo, they, like, managed to zoom in and see it, I guess. Um, but they were like, "This hair is gnarly. Like, this is not how we see Kate." Even when she's, slubbing it and, like, not wanting to be super fancy and put together, it's just not how we see her.
Yeah.
And this is the first time you want to show yourself after having this surgery. Again, you could have done a because then there's, like, the whole thing with the royal rota, like, right after Kate they had announced the surgery and Charles's diagnosis, Prince William went to the BAFTA awards where he gaffed hard. Did you hear this?
All of this shit going on, and this random pregnancy, this random surgery announcement, and he's going to the award show? The BAFTA
Well,
awards?
they're a patron of it. He's like the president of BAFTA.
You canceled on your godfather's fucking funeral, man.
Yeah.
45 minutes beforehand, but you're going to this award show?
Well, did you hear what he did there?
No.
So he was talking to, shoot, I don't remember who it was, but, she she won Best Actress or something, and he was, like, basically asking her, like, "Did you have a fun time filming the movie?" In the movie, she gets, sexually assaulted, and it's about, like, consent. And there's a picture of him asking her and the 4 other nominees, which included, I think, Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones fame. Um,
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna pull this up I wanna pull up a
okay.
picture.
Yeah, so I probably like Prince William at 2024 BAFTAs. And the faces of the other people that because they're kind of like in a semicircle-ish. So the people who are like really facing the camera, their faces when he's asking this question are like shocked emoji face. Like the like, "What? I can't believe you just said that." So like this motherfucker is not even like reading his briefings, like obviously has not seen this movie. And somebody compared it to, I guess, a year or 2 ago, he went I think they went to the Top Gun premiere, and he had on these loafers that had little airplanes stitched on them, and that's all he talked about the whole night. He didn't talk about the movie, he didn't talk about the plot, he talked about his fucking loafers. So apparently, William is like a baboon. Are you looking at the picture?
I just went to talk and I had myself muted because
Okay, I was
I
like,
didn't want all my, like, clicking and typing. So I see that one of the actresses who was, like, in that
Mhm.
picture is, she was in The Bear. She was
Yes.
one of the other she's like the sous chef or something from The Bear.
Yes.
Um, and her face was great because she was like,
Yeah, like, truly shocked, like, "Holy
that is
shit."
a, bars ankle high reaction,
Yes.
um, that she's
Here
just
it
got it,
is
like, right on her face.
for our Patreoners. R- Oop.
Yes, that's a picture I was just looking at.
Yes. And
Look
he's
at
like, "Yeah,
him.
isn't that funny?" And like the Phoebe Del Delphi, the one from Bridgerton, um, is also there, and she looks uncomfortable as fuck. Um, but yeah, no, like he just it's the kind of thing where it's like, what is wrong with you?
You know, I guess I'm so used to really only seeing he and Kate, like pictures of he and Kate
Mm,
and hearing about them, but never actually like almost like they're like Barbie and Ken. Like they're not
mhm,
people
yeah.
that like do that interact and like do interviews and are
Well,
accessible. There's
so
just like such an insulation that to see him like in a place where he could just be breezing through and looking very cool and he's just like being awkward
yes.
and weird and maladjusted. I don't know, it's just like I mean, it's not surprising because this weird way that they're raised, which is just like the nature
Well,
of
I
it,
think
you
it's
know?
surprising because, you know, they make a point of going and doing these walkabouts and, like, shaking hands with everybody and, you know, the regular people and
You
that was
should
a
be
huge
great
thing.
at small talk.
That yeah, like, that was a huge thing for Princess Diana,
Mhm,
like, she was huge on that and, like, making sure that, like, her kids were exposed. Like, I think she took them down like, they were in LA for whatever reason and, like, took them to Skid Row and, like, to
mhm,
talk with people who were on Skid Row and, like,
mhm.
learn about them, whatever. And so, it's the kind of thing where it's like, "What is wrong with you, dude?" Like,
Yeah.
you know, again, it it and I mean, I understand, like, you know, to ask, like, "Did you have a good time filming?" in general, but to ask somebody that when they were in a movie about sexual assault and consent is
It's bizarre.
it's a
It's
strange thing to
so
do.
yeah.
But before he went into the BAFTAs, he's outside and he arrives, and there's the Royal Rota, which is like a more condensed version of their paparazzi, which they have in Britain to limit basically it was created after Diana died
Okay.
being chased by the paparazzi. Um, but it's more limited, but it's also extremely select. You if you piss off the royals, you don't get that assignment anymore. So you have to be like super careful with any questions you ask. So he's walking in and you could hear a fucking pin drop. Like, yeah, they're clicking their cameras. There's not a single question from these people. And then all of a sudden, it's, "Oh, Prince William, what do you think of all the support your family has gotten since the announcement of your father's cancer diagnosis?" Yeah. And he was like,
What?
"Oh, oh, the support has been lovely. Thank you." And like, that was it. And it was just such a bullshit question where it's like, none of you are saying a single fucking thing and saying like,
Give me
"How's Kate? How are the kids? How are the kids coping with Kate's surgery?" and
yeah.
da 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 da.
Hit me with that
Like,
energy from I just sent Katie a clip and it's Miley Cyrus walking through it looks like a hotel lobby and the
yes.
paparazzi's there and they're like,
"Miley, are
"Miley,
you
are you
pregnant?"
pregnant?" She goes,
And
"No, I'm
she's got
fucking
like
sick, bitch."
yeah, she's got her arm kind of like over her eyes to like block from the
All
flashes,
the
and then
lights, yeah.
her hoodie is like kind of pulled up over her face, and she's like, "No, I'm just sick, bitch. You bitch." It's like so perfect
So funny.
because it's that kind of thing where it's like, "No, I feel like shit. Leave me alone."
Right, right. Like, just get the fuck out of my face. So it's
Yeah,
just like, that's all I could we need that energy brought to this questioning.
right. Prince William, is your mistress pregnant?
Yeah. Prince William, have you told, Rose that you wish that you were a tampon that she would use? Let Katie and I run the royal what is it?
Rhoda, ROTA.
Okay,
I don't know why it's called that.
let Katie and I run the royal rota.
Oh, it'd be great.
Let us ask the questions.
Yeah.
Let us just screech nonsense at the royal family, um, while filming the response before and after.
Also, Marie Claire is basically a fluff magazine for the royals at this point, but they show up on my
Is that
phone
an English
under
magazine?
I think so.
Huh.
But it's like a fashion magazine, I thought. It's kinda like
Yeah.
Vogue or
I think
Cosmo or
it's
something.
I think it's like yeah, I think it's like the Wish version of Cosmo. I could be
Um,
wrong. I don't buy
so
magazines.
hold on. Breaking news. Kate Middleton speaks out for the first time amid surgery recovery in personal message
When? Just now?
today.
Oh, shit.
The Princess of Wales, 42, this is from People magazine, by the way, thanked the public for their continued support amid her recovery from abdominal surgery, as she also celebrated Mother's Day, also called Mothering Sunday in the UK, through a post shared on Instagram Sunday. Alongside the photograph of herself and her 3 kids that was allegedly taken by Prince William, she wrote, "Thank you for your kind wishes and continued support over the last 2 months. Wishing everyone a happy Mother's Day." Signing off with a C at the end.
I'm gonna check it right now. I wanna read
It's
it. I wanna see it.
definitely, it's from the Prince and Princess of Wales Instagram page. It's also an older photo, very clearly. Like, this is probably from the fall, judging by the outfits. I suppose it could be spring, but
I think it is spring just based on, like, the background. Things starting to leaf out. The sitting in the chair.
I think,
She's so pretty.
she is very pretty, but it's definitely not her in that fucking car.
Yeah, no.
Um,
Hmm.
so Oh, great. A source close to the royal household recently told People that it was, quote, sensible, unquote, for Princess Kate to take the necessary recovery time before returning to public duty.
Look,
That is a
nobody's
great
taking issue with her recovering from
Oh, it gets better. Quote, "That is a great example to the rest of us, as you're often told to get back to work as soon as possible, which can be damaging. It is good for all of us to see her taking time, recovering properly, and then coming back," the source said. Quote, "We can all learn from that," unquote.
Oh my god.
Like, sure. Well, however you wanna spin this bullshit that people have been wondering what the fuck is going on lately, by all means. The reason I think that it's an older photo is because, I think Charlotte in particular looks younger than she did in their Christmas photo, and her hair looks shorter.
Okay, well now I gotta take a look at the Christmas photo. Let's see.
But Marie Claire posted so it, like, came up in, like, my top stories on Apple News, but it was, like, their unique living arrangement in their Kensington apartment or whatever the fuck, and, for William and Kate, and it's like, they live on the 1st floor. Can you believe it? And, like, so they, like, go through this whole explanation of how they call it an apartment, but it's really like a townhouse. And they're like, "It's 3 stories and this many rooms, and they stay on the 1st floor." And then Marie Claire ends every fucking article about the royals with, "Well, that's that." No, it's not. It's nothing. You're just saying stuff. Stop it. It makes me so mad.
Okay. Let me just add.
Okay.
This is a weird Christmas card.
Yes. They're definitely in a cult. That's what that Christmas card looks like.
The what this looks like the old school picture backgrounds.
Yes. It's just a black and white photo.
It's not, but I think you're right. The what's Charlotte?
Yeah.
She does
She
look
looks way older.
younger
Yeah.
in this Mother's Day picture.
Yes. Which is very common. Like, they do that all the time.
What? Do what all
Like,
the
they
time?
use older photos for, like, a present day post.
Weird.
They do it constantly.
Why? Like why?
I think to the extent, like, as a parent, I understand doing that, where it's like, I don't want you to know what my kid looks like today. Um, like, from a like a normal parent safety perspective, I think that that makes sense. Um, but and so I do think that there is an aspect of it where they're just trying to allow their children a little bit of privacy, um, even though everybody knows what these kids look like and they're expected to go to these, formal events, the Trooping of the Color, all these things every year. Um, the I think there is an aspect of it, but it is, again, the kind of thing where we know what these people look like, we can put these in timelines, and you're using an old photo when you are MIA. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just weird. So, anyway, that's the rabbit hole that I've been in.
I'm still weirded out by this Christmas photo, to be honest.
Why?
So, okay, if this is for Christmas, normally Christmas photos either look wintry or Christmassy or they're in the fall.
Mhm.
This looks like an AI generated picture of the royals.
Have you, looked at their Christmas photos from the past?
I just went through and looked at a couple other ones.
Mhm.
Like, why do two of the kids have sneakers on?
Mhm.
The one has shorts on.
Yes.
Charlotte has jeans, but the boys have black pants on. I don't know.
Well, and Kate's wearing jeans.
Yeah, it just I don't know, it's just odd.
Mhm.
It's just an odd choice for a Christmas card, I guess.
It's very,
It's very cold, like it to me this looks like you were like, "Hey, Chat GPT, make me a royal family portrait."
Mhm.
That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. I
Apparently
mean, in the
people think
past,
is that there is, like, photoshopping that was done.
um yes. In the past, their Christmas photos, if you guys don't know, there's been, one from their trip to Africa, one of them clearly from the summer, and they're all, like, walking hand in hand.
Like, that makes more sense to me.
Yeah, like, which is very common also to, like, use a picture from a vacation as
Right.
your Christmas card
Right.
that year. Like, that it's the sort of thing where it's like, yes, obviously an old photo, but, like, doesn't strike as weird. But I think that the post that she did today, um, the 10th, is an old photo, just based on how Charlotte looks.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And that's the thing too, like, when you've got kids in pictures, you can't use you can't pass off pictures as recent if they're old because it's so visually apparent with little kids when it's an old picture because they just change so quick.
Mhm.
That was an interesting rabbit hole. I don't know what my theory is. What do you think is happening personally?
I think, I hope that it is just that she has, not that I'm hoping illness on people, but I hope that it is something like ulcerative colitis or something where you just have to get your bearings on a new way of living and severe health condition. And I hope that that's all it is. But I do think that, you know, what we have seen proof of is that it's extremely orchestrated at all times. And I think
Mhm.
the 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 disrespect for Thomas Kingston in his death and making sure that all of those details were made public, is so grotesque to me, but it's also so clear to me that it was done in order to avoid, um,
It was a smokescreen
to try, yeah, to
Yeah.
try to take the focus off of, the primary royals and the so I think, whatever is going on, um there is a certain part of it where you you live a fully publicly funded life. You For Kate, she chose it, um,
Mm.
and has played the part and played the game for 20 plus
She
years-ish.
chose it after everybody saw what happened to Diana.
Yes, and she chose it after being hounded by the paparazzi when they were just dating. I mean, yeah, they called her Weighty Katie, but they also called her Weighty Katie as like about her body weight. They like would pick apart her, if she was getting chubby, if whatever they thought. So like she has been in the public eye, eviscerated by the tabloids for the better part of 2 decades. I mean, they got married in 2011. So, it's the sort of thing where, I don't wanna say like, "Well, you signed up for it too fucking bad, you can't change your mind now." But I do think that in the aspect of like, s to make it American, if Joe Biden suddenly was MIA and refused to tell us where or why he was MIA, like, I would have a fucking problem with it. Like,
Or when, Trump had COVID and was airlifted to Walter Reed and they weren't disclosing anything about his status, and everybody
right,
was like, "What the fuck is happening?" And that lasted, like, a few hours.
right, because people were, like, ready to storm the White House.
Again. Oh, no, that was
Right, well,
before.
yeah, that was
Never
before.
mind. I take that back.
Um, but yeah, it's the kinda thing where it's like, "No, no, no, you don't get to spend my money and not tell me what's going on." And I also think, if she is dealing with Crohn's or ulcerative colitis or some sort of, true medical condition. Not that it wouldn't be a true medical condition if it's not those things, but there is an opportunity to have a discussion about what you're going through
Mhm.
and to, like, be open about it rather than having some, quote, "anonymous source" say, like, "Well, we should all take a page out of this book and really take rest when we need to, and healthily, heal from anything before we're going back to work and putting the nose to the grindstone." Yeah, if its and buts were coconuts and, yeah, I'd love that, but unfortunately, employers don't give a shit if you're not feeling great,
Well,
and it would
and yes. I mean,
you
I
know?
agree with that. And I think also, when Meghan and Harry were on their, like, press tour, which don't get me wrong, I found extremely insufferable. It just got to the point where I was like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
guys, we get it." Um,
Like you said, I mean, it is rich people problems.
well, and with Meghan and Harry, I was like, "Okay, like, you've said your piece, you're taking
Yes.
your space, take your space then.
Yes.
Step away, have some privacy, figure out your new normal, do what's right for you, but stop telling it's kinda like Jada and Will when they're
Oh
just
my god,
constantly
yes.
like, "We
Where
have
it's
an
like
open
everything I've
marriage."
learned about their marriage, I've learned against my own will.
And yeah, and at a certain point, we're all like, "Yes, we know. Please just do your thing." Um,
Right.
I think that Kate has always very much, like, played along and done what was asked of her. And when you had Meghan and Harry saying all of these things about the royal family, and obviously, like, William and Kate are silent, this was an opportunity for you to
Yes.
be like, no, 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 like, look, like, we're real and real things happen to us and we're having real problems. And look, I'm showing vulnerability. And I think they just like
Yes.
missed the mark. I think that, um,
Which is also inexcusable because it's not like these are like, we don't have degrees in PR. Like, these aren't
right.
profound ideas to
Yeah.
say, like, "Yo, a little bit of transparency here." Like, look, we don't know what type of cancer Charles has. So, like, there's still questions about, like, the terminality of Charles's cancer
Did I make
diagnosis.
up the prostate cancer?
Yes. They have said it's not prostate cancer. He went in for a prostate procedure for an
Okay.
enlarged prostate, and they found
I
cancer.
was just like, wait a second. Did I just make up that information? Okay.
No,
So we
they
did
have
talk
said
about his
it's
prostate. Not that I
yes, they
wanna talk
have
about his
said
prostate, but
Right. They have said that it's not prostate cancer,
Okay, okay.
but it was found incidental to this prostate procedure that he was
Gotcha,
having done.
okay.
Um, but yeah, so we don't know the exact type. So, like, there's to the which I think is also it makes sense in the effect like, that sort of information could have an effect on the global markets because, if it's
Instability.
pancreatic cancer and,
Mhm,
has a really high death rate and a high mortality rate, then, you know, there'll be speculation on that. Then every analyst on every news station is gonna say like, "Well, this is the timeline and here's where we're at and this is the type of treatment for that." So if they keep it a little bit more vague, like, yes, we're doing, radiation and chemo, following doctor's advice, getting out there when I can and da da da. Like that's a normal enough update and enough of a window into the reality of what he's going through that I think people are satiated.
mhm,
It's like this iron curtain of information with William and Kate where it's like, where is this coming from? You people have been, you know, never complain, never explain, show up, smile no matter what you're feeling.
mhm.
Um, and that has always been what you've done no matter what. And all of a sudden it's which is why I think there's the speculation about, the divorce rumors and, there
Yeah,
being a mental health issue thing happening, not just an abdominal surgery. So
and
it's
it could be all things. I mean, it
yeah.
could be, she was experiencing some kind of health issue and had to have this surgery done and, is still to a certain extent like juggling 3 kids and,
Yeah.
her marriage isn't doing well and just needed like a little bit of insulation.
Mhm.
Which is fine, but like you could play it off like this was all health based, physical health based, and
Mhm.
you could have given, this much information, which would
Yes.
have been enough to like quell most of the suspicion. I mean, we've dealt with that in work settings where everything's like under this veil of secrecy, and all it does is make people like unsure, unstable, uncomfortable, like
Right.
fearful. You just need to give like enough information that people don't feel like they're being, you know, it, there's a
Lied
word.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, or like, kind of led down the garden path. Like just
Mhm.
give people a little bit of information. And I do think like as much as I don't want to like compliment the queen, I think she was very good at that. I think that she knew like enough information to give and when to give it and kind of how to steer things.
Mhm.
And I think that she definitely like kind of gave the royal family that like structure and guidance.
Yeah.
And I don't think Charles is good at it.
No.
I don't
Well, and
think.
he wanted the pared down, royalty of active royals, and that's another comment now is like that the problem with that is that when this stuff happens, now you have Princess Anne and, Prince, not Andrew, the other one. Um, I think he's the Duke of Gloucester now,
Oh,
but,
Charles' brother or whatever?
yeah, the other brother, not the
Yeah,
rapist one.
I don't know.
Um, the but you have those are the only 2 people now because the Queen Camilla is on vacation. Will is somewhere, I don't know. Um, Kate is MIA.
Katie, he has a very busy schedule being a tampon, and that is a lot of work for him.
I don't know that he's being a tampon. I think he's getting tamponed. I think that the rumor is that he enjoys being penetrated.
Where are you hearing these rumors?
Oh, that's been out there for a while.
What?
And that's the thing where it's like apparently part of that whole rumor is that the reason Kate and Will are still together despite his dalliances outside of the marriage is because she's not willing to do that for him. And so he's free to get that somewhere else as long as it doesn't cross into like an emotional connection. That's what I've heard. That's on the TikToks. You have to say something.
I was not expecting to be quite so shocked today. and that shocked me. He
Well,
wow.
so anyway, that's the rabbit hole that I've found myself in. Um, hashtag where's Kate? Hashtag where's William? I don't know. Apparently at Easter, Kate's going to come back from the dead and be back at events in full force. So we'll see. We'll see in a couple weeks if that's true and what she looks like and if they're still using a body double for the school drop off. Well, record scratch. I don't know where this edit is going to come in.
This is
But
like an emergency session
yes,
of the
we've never
bars and why.
actually had to do like an emergency addendum to our episode before it came out. Um, however,
This is very exciting. Is this how journalists feel all the time?
I've got a journalism boner.
Just occurred to me. I was like, oh yeah, journalists would feel like this every time they have a piece of information.
So, you're
Ugh.
hearing this on Thursday, but for us, it's Monday evening. We were recording the second half of yesterday or the second half of Thursday's episode yesterday, which was Sunday. During recording, I got a news alert that the Prince and Princesses of Wales Instagram account shared a photo of Princess Catherine with her 3 children in honor of the UK Mother's Day, which was Sunday, March 10th. Some caption of like, enjoy this fucking photo of us, whatever. And at the time, you and I were like, I don't know, this is a weird
It's
picture.
a
I
weird
thought it was
picture.
from November. You said you thought it was made by AI.
Yeah, it was
So
weird.
we were recording until about 12 p.m., I
Yeah,
would
so it was like
say.
the first half of the day.
Right. By 7 p.m., you and our intern were texting me
I think it was it
like,
was later because I was
oh,
with the
yeah, it
baby. It
was
was like
10 because I
10.
was in bed. Yeah.
He was he was editing downstairs. I was with the baby upstairs, and he texted me royal family drama, and I was like, "Yes, that's what the episode's about." He's like,
Good listening.
and and then he sends another one like, "No, AP just pulled the picture," and I was
Right.
like, "You have to text the group chat right now. You have to tell Katie about this." So then I texted
Right. So you
in
guys
all
texted
caps,
me and
"Yay!"
like I I don't know, by God's mercy was still awake
I
because I'm
was
never
shocked.
awake that late.
I was
I
shocked
think
when
it
you
was
said what.
the daylight savings jet lag
Yeah.
getting me. But in any event, um yeah, so sorry, I thought the dog was going for treats in the litter box. Um this is my life. Um so the
Poop loops.
so at 10 p.m., so 10 hours later, we see the news alert that the Associated Press and Reuters they issued a kill notice to the photo that was shared by the Waleses to their official Instagram account, because it did not depict the truth. So it wasn't just that it was photoshopped, it was that it was photoshopped basically like within an inch of its life
Yeah.
and no longer depicted an event that actually occurred. So I spent the better part of this evening after work today um reading or watching a whole bunch of TikToks. There's a creator whose username is Matta of Fact, Matta, and she's excellent, but she was talking about it and like she really like zoomed in on the different things. So there's the one of the major things that people mention is the wrist of Charlotte. One of her wrists is like cut in
The
half
yeah, like
basically.
the pattern of the clothing.
Like
I
if you
know.
zoom in, it looks like it would look like part of her wrist was cut out because her
Mhm,
hand extends further than the edge of her hand extends further than her arm.
mhm,
So it looks bizarre. Additionally, on the other side of her, on her hip, her skirt, like there's a weird cutoff.
mhm.
Now, what really got me was that behind Prince Louis, who's the younger son, if you look at the steps of the house behind him, they're like
Mhm.
cut in half and like all jagged and weird looking.
I noticed his hand. There was, like,
So
something
he
funny with
like
his
is
fingers.
crossing his two middle fingers and it's like this. And he always
Yeah.
seems to be doing something bizarre with his hand. And then I saw somebody pointed out that, like, I think it was this matter of fact account. She was like, "We know that they do this. They did this with their Christmas card because people pointed out that Prince Louis, again, had an extra finger in the
Oh,
Christmas
yeah,
card."
the stairs. I see
So,
that.
yes. And so what I thought was kind of like Stepford wivey about this picture the longer I looked at it is how they're all like scream laughing in this photo. Like it's not
Yeah,
just a smile.
it's Holt on Brooklyn Nine-Nine when they were on night shift, and he's
Yes.
like, "If we just smile and laugh, we'll feel better."
They
It's
like the children
bizarre.
especially, like Kate is there static, but then the children look like they've just been told the funniest fucking joke they've ever heard in their entire lives. And then there's somebody who pointed out that the top of Catherine's head, where it would meet with Prince George's face, is very blurry,
Yeah, her forehead is
indicating
too.
indicating that they added volume to the hair. Okay, fine, whatever. If you look at her hand that's around Charlotte and compare it to her hand that's around Louis, the hand that's around Louis is extremely blurry,
Yep,
but Louis is not blurry,
yep.
also indicating some excessive photoshopping. Then
Mhm,
additionally on Kate herself, the sweater she's wearing, it looks like she's wearing like a turtleneck, like a chunky turtleneck sweater, and then has a jacket over it that has a zipper,
mhm.
but the zipper cuts out all of a sudden on one side of
Oh,
her
yeah, it
as it
does.
goes down.
Yep.
So you do have to like brighten the image. But then I'm at work today, I'm at lunch, and I like see this update. Um, and it's a statement on Zitter from the Princess of Wales posted to their official Twitter account
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
that says, let me pull it up so I get it right.
I did see this earlier.
She says, it's like many people, like many amateur photographers, I frequently dabble with photo editing software. I ap
Bizarre.
I apologize for, any confusion or worry or something that this might have caused. I hope everyone had a great Mother's Day,
Yeah, it
and
was
then
very
signed it
weird.
C, which is how
Yes.
they tend to sign off their tweets like W or W and C or just C or whatever.
Yeah.
So, she signed it off C, and so they were like, "Couple things." Um,
Blink twice if you need help.
right, is the Photoshop in the room with us now, Catherine? Like
Can you hear the Photoshop now?
but also, like, this is the British royal family. There is not a single photograph posted to
Right,
any of their comms accounts. Like, not even William and or not even Harry and Meghan.
right.
I think PK's home. Not even Harry and Meghan post things without them going through like 9 different layers of approval where they're like, "We're sure it's good, right? Where there's nothing here. There's no one in the background making like a white supremacist hand gesture that we need to worry about, right? Like nobody's holding like a KKK flag, right? Like
Right.
we can post this and it's safe, right? Right, right, right." Every single official photograph goes through all this, which is why we also know that the royal family engages in regular and almost like prescribed Photoshop. They Photoshop everything.
And, like, I get
Um,
it. I get it, excuse me, when you have, like, a bunch of kids in a picture, and you're
mhm,
never gonna get a good version of the picture with, 5 different kids and trying to get them to all look the same way and smile and whatever. But it is, like, so gratuitous, the editing that they do to these these pictures.
mhm.
It is, like the other thing that got me was trying to imply that William took this picture. This was for
But now
sure
Kate is the
taken.
one who edited it and fucked up the
Right,
editing so much that now she has to fall on the sword publicly,
right.
which nobody believes, which I think is the, like,
It was
worst part of
weird.
it is, like, this Twitter statement, everyone's like, Shut the fuck up. That's not what happened.
Right.
Like,
Like, why are you digging a deeper hole with this? And
yeah,
your husband for sure did not take this picture. This is a professionally posed, like, composed picture. It
correct.
just it was so weird. It was the weirdest statement ever.
Yes. And then I found a different um TikTok thing that where somebody like dug in and they were like, "Hey, back in December, they posted to their Instagram page a video or a reel of Kate and the 3 children going to a mother's ward or something, but it was basically like a shelter for, like, unwed mothers, I guess, I don't know, single parents, and, but they called it, like, a mother's home or something, it was I don't know,
It's some of
British
that
people
British
name stuff
terminology
weird.
that I'm like,
Yeah, like, very Dickensian name,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
but in any event, this person went through and they were like, "Oh, look, that's the sweater that Charlotte's wearing in the March 10th photo, and those are the tights that she's wearing, it looks like, and it looks like in this video, Prince George is wearing a blue sweater with a checked collared shirt underneath. It's a light checked collar, but that would be easy enough to change in Photoshop because you can change like, you can paint over something."
Right.
Um,
Oh my god.
and
That's gotta
so
be hard for Catherine to do while she's recovering from surgery.
additionally, speaking of recovering from surgery, she's wearing the tightest of skinny jeans.
Yeah, that's a good
This is
point.
a person who's allegedly had such severe abdominal surgery that she's on a 3-month recovery
Yeah.
timeline here
Yeah.
and was hospitalized for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, there's just no way that you're wearing tight
It's a good point.
button jeans
Yep.
when you've had that kind of abdominal surgery. I mean,
Right.
it's just so implausible.
Yes.
So, all of these things, which I said yesterday when we were recording, I think it's a video or a photo from November.
Mhm.
Um, I maintain I think it's a photo from November, which they
Mhm.
could have said, "This is a photo from last November, the end." Like, we hope everybody like, the princess continues to safely recover at home.
Right.
Have a happy Mother's Day, everybody. The
Right,
end. They
like,
could
the
have
reason
not
everyone is speculating is because you're being so fucking weird about this.
right, like, you are making it at
Right.
every turn, which again, these are not like, this is not you graduate PR school and then day 1 you're working for the royal family. Like, these aren't
Right.
novices at this job. So then they're making these calls where it's just like, you want us to like accept your version of events, and yet your version of events becomes more and more deranged the longer you're let to like play alone with it.
Kind of like the longer I
So,
look at this picture, I feel like it's one of those AI nightmares where
yes,
suddenly you realize they have, like, 4 hands and,
right.
you know.
So then also today, did you see that there was another car ride photo?
No! Oh my god!
So I'm curious what your reaction is. Definitely join our Patreon if you want to see this photo.
I can tell you that
So this was
while
posted by the Daily Mail. Do you like that photo?
what is that?
That's William in a car with Kate, allegedly. And she is looking
Facing
out.
away?
Yeah, so William is closest to the photographer and she is looking out the window. She's sitting next to him in the car, but looking out the other window of the car. So she's facing away. You can see her ear and her like cheekbone and like eye recess pretty much and like part of a jawline, more or less. Um Now according to the Daily Mail when they posted this, it's um William and Kate were in this car while Kate was on her way to a quote private appointment and Will was on his way to church to do another church fucking thing. Not his godfather's church service, but some other church service. Commonwealth Day, I think they called it. And but so here's the thing. I'm going to come back to that photo cuz it's shady as fuck.
Can you send it to me? I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
not it's not coming up in my the article that I opened about the photo didn't have the photo in it.
Of course not. So I had zoomed in on a s- um picture of it. So
Okay.
that's what you're
There we go.
seeing.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so I'm going to come back to that
Okay.
and that moment in the car.
Okay.
The last time we saw Kate in public for reals was Christmas Day of
Yeah.
2023.
Right.
December 28th, a royal motorcade was seen leaving Sandringham House going towards a hospital. We get no other information on that. Potentially, one of the cars in that motorcade was William's Audi. I guess he drives like an Audi sedan. But we have no other information from that.
How do we know that we're going towards a hospital?
I don't know. I don't know how roads work in the UK. Maybe there's like, do they just paint a big like
I just feel like
red
they're
and
so
white arrow
twisty
on it?
turny. You know, it's not like here where we're so car focused
Well, I
that
guess
everything has a pretty direct route.
if it's a
My
motorcade,
perception
I
when we're
would
driving
probably
around
pay
is
more attention to like where it was going.
oh, that's true.
I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's true. It is like a motorcade. It's not
Like,
just like
and
yeah.
I can't tell from the single photo that I saw of this, or I think it's like a very short video. Nothing about that video to me says it was outside of a hospital. But that also doesn't mean anything because
Yeah.
like even our hospitals over here can look just like any other office building
Right.
depending on
Yeah.
like where you're approaching it from. So
Right. Yeah.
whatever. Um but that was December 28th. Then we don't hear anything. And the announcement's made on January 17th that the day before the princess had this abdominal surgery. So there is a rumor, and I do think that there is a little bit more after the past 24 hours. I think that there is more credence to this. So somebody said after Christmas, Will said, I want a divorce. And she said, no way, bitch. I'm 10 steps ahead of you. Either faked or did the Carol Middleton stage mom thing and said, absolutely not. You aren't going to take me. Like, you're not doing it your way. You're going to do it my way. Now she's in a rehab program of some sort. I don't think that she would have done something to hurt herself. I will say that. But goes to the hospital, is in the hospital from December 28th to January 29th when she was discharged, allegedly. And now it's a matter of figuring out how they're going to either announce a divorce or like what's going on with that.
Oh God, I hope it's a divorce. Is that terrible?
I hope so too, because the other option is that she had this surgery, something went terribly wrong, and she was in a coma for 2 weeks and has not left the hospital.
And that's why they're
Because
photoshopping pictures to make
yes,
it
and
look like she's home.
we had photos of the king leaving the hospital after getting fucking chemo. But we don't have photos of her leaving the hospital. They just told us, "Hey, she left and she's at home now." So like no motorcade, nothing. She left under like cloak of darkness evidently if she left the hospital.
Yeah.
So now, like, I think that there is a reason for people to be like, where is Kate? Like, what in the Shelley Miscavige is going on here?
Yes.
Like, you're being extremely weird.
Yeah.
And I think really, unless and until actually Kate Middleton shows up again, people are going to still be asking these questions because they've done absolutely nothing to make it seem like she's safe and making these decisions. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind she did not write that Twitter statement.
Oh yeah, no. Cuz it's weird. I mean like
It's weird.
what did they say? Hey AI, write an apology for being bad at Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
they just tweeted it. There was
And to
no
sign it from her. And they didn't do like an official statement from Kensington Palace. This wasn't from AIDS. This wasn't from whatever. And again, to think like this isn't Trump typing Kofefi into Twitter. Okay. Like they don't have to wrestle their phones away from the royals. Like there's no doubt in my fucking mind that Kate probably doesn't even know the password to her own Twitter.
right. I was gonna say like, I mean, do we think that Kate even how much is she even really using a phone? Like, I feel like her staff is probably
Yeah.
handling her phone almost all of the time.
Yeah. I feel like it's
Um,
me and my work phone. Like,
well,
I use my work phone to make work calls, and
yeah.
that's it. Like,
Well,
she might have a
remember,
phone to text her friends and family,
right.
but that's probably all she does on it. She probably doesn't go online because, like, why bother?
Well, and remember when Meghan Markle and Harry did that Oprah interview, Meghan Markle was saying that like they had taken like her passport, her keys, like the staff had all of her shit.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, uh, and that's all I can in my head. I mean, n- n- I, all I can think is like, oh my god, divorce him and break free.
Yeah. So there was this rumor that so I know that we mentioned it yesterday, but the whole thing with Meghan making Kate cry before her wedding,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Thing, and they had
Hmm.
this big falling out and yada yada yada. And there was like all this speculation of like, why did they have this falling out? Like, why wouldn't they get along? Blah blah blah. Neither of like they're both commoners and all this other shit. And there is a rumor that they had this falling out because Meghan found out that William was having affairs
Hmm.
and told Kate about it and was like, "Hey girl, like you got to know, like blah blah blah." And Kate was basically like, "Are you stupid? This is our deal. Like I get to be a princess and he gets to do what he wants." So there is absolutely nothing substantive to verify that claim. However, w- I I given that we know or have heard at this point that Carol Middleton is the stage mom of being in the royal family, I can if you're raised by somebody who can normalize, never complain, never explain, you get to be a princess, so don't you dare, you know, look a gift horse in the mouth kind of thing.
Hmm.
I I can see it. That being said, I still really hope that she's okay. All signs point to she's not okay right now.
Yeah, I don't I really want to know.
I know.
I really want to know really bad.
And that's why I'm in this rabbit hole because I'm like, "Where's
Yeah.
Kate?" This Photoshop fiasco with a PH.
I can tell you also while our intern was editing our episode last night, he goes, I was doing something else. And he turns and goes, "Who's Pippa? Isn't she the queen?"
Oh,
He knows nothing about the royal family. I was like, "No, she's not." I was like, "That's Kate's sister." He goes, "They're not the same person?" I was like,
nope.
"No."
But remember how we were talking about, Thomas Kingston, the
Yes.
man who, took his own life, unfortunately?
Mhm.
He's Pippa's ex-boyfriend. They broke up, and then he ended up marrying Lady what's-her-face Windsor.
Okay, so the lady he married was the one who is the royal.
Correct.
Okay, so he's
Lady
not royal.
Gabriella. He's not royal, no.
He's just married to a royal.
He's yeah, royal adjacent.
Huh.
But yeah, dated Pippa after, um, Kate and William got married. They broke
Mm,
up
now I need
amicably,
to
I
Google this
guess, I
guy.
don't know, and then he married Lady Gabriella Windsor about 5 years ago, apparently, and oh, and I saw also the headline, we were trying to figure out the word, they called it a traumatic head injury, which was the phrasing where I was like, "Well, that obviously means a gunshot," but I don't know if I thought that was obvious because I'm American and
Yeah,
we have trauma.
catastrophic head wound.
Yeah.
So weird. Wow. This is wild. I
Mhm.
also feel like the royal family is just like not prepared for the level of sleuthing
There's a lot of
that
noise happening in my house right now, I'm sorry.
my house is always full of sounds.
There's a
Um,
cat going absolutely apeshit over a toy right now.
I don't think the royal family was prepared for the truly, like, world-class sleuthing of Gen Z.
Mm,
So I
true.
think that they've been able to get away with some of this shit in the past, and now there's Gen Zs on TikTok that are like, "No,
Well,
no,
and I
no."
think in the past, so that same account, that Matter of Fact account, she pointed out, historical examples of photoshopping and how even, King Henry VIII, the, guy who had all the wives that he kept beheading,
Mhm.
um, he like, they had Photoshop in paintings, like, the painting that you got that we have of these
Right.
rulers is not what they actually looked like. So, it was effectively Photoshop.
Yeah.
Um, but we have very clearly Photoshopped pictures of the queen, especially towards the end of her life, but it's kind of like the way that we have Mitch McConnell's hands looking like, they're just bright purple from all the bleeding
Oh, yeah,
from
his
his
zombie hands.
yeah, transfusions.
Yeah.
Like, the palace just, like, photoshopped her hands so that they were from a different point, and you could see the lines around it, but it was the sort of thing where it's like, yeah, I mean, like, who gives a shit? Like, I don't know. It's an old lady with hands. She has old lady hands. I don't know. Prince Philip looked like the crypt keeper from, Tales We Tell in the Dark,
I st
and nobody was
I
photoshopping that
still don't
man's
believe
face.
that he was living. The last picture I saw of him was there ain't no way.
It's jump scare material, that's for
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
But so, like, I think in the past, the photoshopping that was done, like you said, you have how many kids that you're trying to all get to face the camera
Mhm.
at the same time.
That I
Kids
get.
don't cooperate.
Yeah.
Even when they're royal, they don't cooperate. They don't
Right.
do what you're supposed to. They don't all smile at the same time. Nobody's eyes are ever open all at the same
You can't
time.
get adults to do it, so there's, like, not a chance that kids will.
Right. Like, there's just normal things that, like, you would just change in any event before putting out these official photos, which is what they do all the time, which is why when the Associated Press issued this kill notice for this photo, it was such a big fucking deal because there's certain things that you do edit. You edit, you know, the kids not looking in the same direction, they're blinking at different times, they're not scream laughing all at the same
Right,
time.
like, nobody's taking issue with that. People are
Right.
taking issue with, "It literally looks like you Frankenstein together, you and your 3 children into this picture."
Correct. Which I think had they shown just a candid photo of a mom with her 3 kids and she's in recovery and covered in blankets, so you can't really see her body, and they're all just, like, snuggled up watching a movie, it would have been fine, and it would have let people, first of all, like, a window into your lives so that you don't look like these porcelain dolls, but now you have, like you already had trust issues with the public, but now you definitely have trust issues.
Yeah.
And I don't you know, I think, like, we talked on it yesterday, but earlier in this episode, when your whole existence is fully funded by the public, like, your only job is to be a public servant for life, and all you do is show up to the BAFTAs and ask people who pretended to be raped on film how fun it was to film the scene. If that's what you're doing with our tax dollars, what no, you don't. You aren't
Yeah.
entitled to privacy, frankly, and especially if you can't prove signs of life. Like,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
what the hell? It's just so bizarre. It's so bizarre. And so this is the rabbit hole that I found myself in, now that I've left the packing stuff behind. So here we
I
are.
needed something to fill my waking hours, so
The
here we
algorithm
go.
got me.
I mean, I did this with Army Hammer, so I
That's
get it.
true.
I have had my share of I was on a Miley Cyrus. There's a whole drama with her and her mom and her
Oh,
sister
yeah,
and the
and
mom's
yeah, and her
husband or
mom
whatever.
is yeah, her sister used to date her mom's new husband or
Her
something.
sister used to bang her mom's husband.
Well, yeah.
Yuck. Because I don't think it was
Presumably,
like a
there wasn't, like,
relationship.
a, you know, swap and spit
What are you doing
situation
there with your
between
fingers?
well,
Swapping spit. Okay.
swapping spit between the mom and daughter and their dipstick preferences.
Hopefully not, but he's like 30 years older than the daughter, so yuck.
That seems
Um,
very Miley, honestly. I feel like
yeah,
Miley has slept with some older guys and
I'm sure.
girls.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I've had my fair share of weird fixations, and you're definitely not the only one. My news feed is mostly royal family today.
Yeah. Yeah, they made it super weird.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we had to hop on and do a record scratch addendum to the episode. So it's a really long episode, and we're sorry, but also no
Sorry.
one else has talked about anything else this week, so at least it's timely.
Yeah. It's just funny. Like every time we go to record this, something happens. So
I know. So
been
let's
an
just
interesting
double
turn of
check the
events.
news alerts before.
That's a very interesting hyperfixation that you've had.
Yeah.
I can tell you our current hyperfixation is we got one of those things that carbonates whatever. So I currently have fizzy water and
Have
it's
you
helping me
carbonated the baby
drink more.
bottles yet?
No, there have been a lot of jokes about like carbonating things that would be gross, like a cup of coffee.
Mm.
There's also a lot of jokes about fizzing yourself or fizzing yourself in our house. Um,
Fizzing
you
yourself.
can you can fizzed yourself, you can fizzed each other. Um,
Just ask William.
that's true. I c- I
Look, I
just
don't know how
can't.
the rumor started or why, but it's out
Come on,
there. I think it's
no.
to be fair, I don't think that that really has any legs to it. I don't think that that's true, but it is like Richard Gere and gerbils. I don't know. Like it's just part of the zeitgeist now.
Or Marilyn Manson blowing having a rib
Yeah,
removed to
getting the
blow
ribs
himself.
removed. Right.
Um, I'm sorry that this turned so explicit at the very end. Like we were fine, and then there was a C word dropped, and then we just went off the rails.
Gotta
And
fizzed yourself.
yeah, um,
Get fizzed.
I can tell you that the next time the four of us hang out, there's going to be a lot of jokes about it because
Oh, for
my
sure.
spouse can't stop himself. You can also fizzed wine, which is nice. You can make
Ooh,
sparkling wine. Yeah.
that would be
Um,
in the summer, that's gonna be
yeah,
delightful.
yeah. Even I'm telling you, like I've drank way more water because it's a like a
Mhm.
dopamine thing. I'm like
Yep.
taking a sip and I'm like, ooh, and I don't even like carbonated stuff, but it's like
So you're
literally,
like, what's his face from Arrested Development? I just fizzed myself.
yeah. I constantly have to. It's. I mean, I've talked about this before, like tricking myself into drinking water,
Mhm.
and that's what I'm doing. Citrus and some fizzing, and I'm good.
Mm.
Um. Well, this was really interesting, Katie, and I learned a lot of things.
Yay. Yep, whether you wanted to or not. So, but yeah, so I think going forward, we'll probably do, like, random hyperfixation, episodes in our regular feed.
I love this.
Um, just it kinda takes a little bit of the pressure off of us so that we don't get burnt out, and,
And it's something we're doing anyway.
exactly. Yeah, you're gonna hear about it no matter what. So now everybody just gets to listen
Yeah,
to one of us tell the other one what we're obsessed with,
yeah.
and why. But if you have a rabbit hole that you think we would like to go down, definitely shoot us an email or send us a message on Instagram, and we'll, you know, take a look.
Yeah.
Um, Make sure you're following us on Instagram and Threads at the bar is ankle high. You can check out our merch at bit.ly/ankle high merch. We are on the TikToks at ankle high pod. You can join our Patreon at patreon.com/the bar is ankle high. Our Patreon subscribers, for just $5 a month, you get ad-free extended cut episodes, you get video episodes, you get added to our close friends list on Instagram, you get a shout out. Are there other benefits? Oh, bonus episodes.
Video, extended, sometimes bonus episodes. Yeah.
um,
Close friends list.
Close friends list, and yeah, so go do that. It's a great way to support us. The other great way to support us that's totally free is to leave us a 5-star review anywhere you find our podcast. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts. On Apple, if you like write out a review, that's 10 out of 10. That's definitely the best way to like boost us up the algorithm for whatever reason. But yeah, anywhere you find us, leave us a 5-star review. And there's listen links on our website to all the different podcast listening platforms. So if you go to thebarisAnkleHigh.com/listen, that's where you'll find those. And yeah, next week, I have an actual topic about ADHD.
Cool.
So
And remember to fizz yourself.
you can get fizzed if you want to. You can leave your old fizz behind. Because the bar is ankle high.
Bye.
Bye.